let's bring our guest in here, Kyle Van Putte from the Van Putte family, Van Putte Gardens. They are on North Ave in Rochester, New York. Do we have our guest bringing the guest music there, kiddo?
We do.
Because we have to do it right, of course. Kyle, thanks for joining us today. Family owned. Welcome into Property Source Radio. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you.
Got to get nice and close here, bud.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Steve.
Yeah.
Big fan. And
I appreciate that.
you inviting me in.
That's when I saw Kyle, I said, I know him from somewhere, and he reminded we've golfed a few times,
right?
Different charity golf tournaments in the
events,
area. Yeah. All right. For those of you who do not know where Van Putte is, and I'll give you their website, vanputte.com, and find out everything about Van Putte. I know you're on North Avenue. Put that into perspective for us.
Well, we're right in the center of Greece. We're at 136 North Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
You can find North Avenue. A lot of people know where Adventure Landing is on Ridge Road West. Mm-hmm. So that's North Avenue. So you go down a couple miles. We're on your right. It's a large garden center. We've been there 64 years.
Wow.
And, we're really proud of that. And we also run a full-service landscape company also.
When I ask people where they are in Greece, I always ask, which funeral home are you near? I kind of put it in perspective that way. 64 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Goes mom and dad?
Well, actually, my grandfather started the company in 1948.
Wow.
And, we started as a vegetable seed packet company. And then really in the late 60s is when the garden center really developed, and then the landscaping. And, we've grown into what we are today over a long period of time. It's nice. We're proud.
It's hard to get the kids to follow into the family business.
Right.
I think of so many people. I don't want to get in the meat business.
Right.
I don't want to do. I don't want to be a plumber.
Yeah.
Right.
How did your family keep it? How have they kept it going?
It's not uncommon for the green industry to go generation to generation because we're started at such a young age. I mean, you start sweeping floors when you're 6 years old. You know what I mean? And
True.
And because my parents had to work so hard, we were at the store a lot. So
It's kind of almost all what you know, only thing you kind of know, and that's what you.
Well, I'd like to think I know more than just that. But you're right. Yes, you grow up in the family business. I was working the garden center floor at age 16, 17 with the knowledge of college students. So anyways, but I did go to Penn State. I got a horticulture degree.
Excellent.
And I decided at that point this is what I wanted to do. So I came back, started working for my parents, and it's really developed into a nice partnership. I get to see my mom and dad every day.
That's great.
That's great.
That is Kyle Van Putte from Van Putte Gardens on North Avenue in Greece. Their phone number is 225-7770, vanputte.com. We'll put a link to that on propertysourceradio.com for you.
And I have to say, because I live in Greece, I go to Van Putte all the time. And recently, for Mother's Day a few years ago, we bought my mother a lilac bush at the Lilac Festival. And we had it planted at her house. And when she passed away, I transplanted it to my house where it exploded. I mean, it went from this little tiny thing, this huge bush. So I noticed I had this white sort of film on it, and I didn't know what it was. So I had called a couple of different garden centers, called Van Putte, and they said, well, just bring in a twig and we can tell you what it is. And I brought it down there and they told me what it was. They sold me the right stuff to fix it. And I go there all the time. I buy my mulch there.
I appreciate that.
I love it.
Yeah.
They're so helpful.
We have a certified nursery professional on staff. Any hour we're open, there's someone there that can answer just about anything.
Yeah.
And then if not, we'll take the sample and we'll call you back the next day when we know exactly what the problem is.
And I would imagine you probably know everybody in the neighborhood, too.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's great.
So we have a good, loyal following customers.
What do you guys, do you guys grow your own, or do you buy it? In, you know what I mean? Are you guys a reseller, or is it both, or one or the other?
Well, we do grow our own.
Okay.
We have about...
all the annuals?
Yes, we grow about an acre. We have about an acre's worth of growing greenhouses.
Okay.
Now, because of the size of our operation, obviously we cannot support all of our needs. So we do have to bring some material in, but it's a combination of both.
Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes.
Makes sense. Okay, good.
Yeah.
How many people you guys have staff there?
Well, last week's payroll we had 74 people.
Wow, you guys are big.
Yeah, so we are. Now that being said, you in December, January, February, March, a certain portion of our year-round people do get laid off, and
Right.
it's part of their deal. They're used to it, and we have very low turnover. So on the high months it's near 80, on the low months it's around 30.
Oh, wow.
So,
it's still big in the winter. You still have 30 on staff?
Yeah,
that work?
we have
Wow.
a full-size snow operation. And
Okay.
of course, we start growing February 1st. We start growing in those greenhouses I just talked about. So
Yeah.
it's a year-round business, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
15-acre nursery offering the finest and hardiest plant stock with delivery and planting always available at Van Putte Gardens. Van Putte is spelled it, by the way, VANPUTTE
Yes.
.com.
Yes.
Dutch.
The Dutch descent, yes.
Yeah. So you must go crazy at tulip time.
Yeah, I mean, now, we don't sell a ton of tulips, but bulb time, you plant bulbs in September, of course.
Yeah.
So
Don't say of course to me.
I just learned that myself.
You'll find out over the course of this hour that there's no of course when it comes to anything.
Okay.
I know. But yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, so we're Dutch descent. There was a lot of Dutch farmers that moved out into the suburbs, in the 30s and the 40s, and my grandfather moved out there and started this company, and we're really proud of it.
Went to Amsterdam a few years ago when my son was studying in England, and my wife and I went over there to visit him, and I felt compelled to go to Amsterdam because I'm a Heineken drinker, and I had to go to the Heineken plant,
Of course.
which was closed while I was there for repairs. But I did, I did get to see just some beautiful tulips. Man,
Yeah.
you've been to
No,
been to Amsterdam?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh.
The best time to go, obviously, is May and June.
Yeah.
As we were talking earlier, and we just can't go away that time of year. So
You're kind of caught in the middle. It's your biggest time.
exactly. So we have to look at the pictures.
Well, one picture is worth 1,000 words when it comes to beautiful tulips in Amsterdam. Kyle Van Putte is with us on Property Source Radio, Sports Radio 950 ESPN. Tell me some of the trends right now. What are some of the hot trends in backyards on the west side?
Okay. All right. Well, we do work on the east side
Yes, of
too,
course.
Steve. But as far as landscape trends, the trends that we're seeing now is really hardscaping, backyard patios. And everybody's always had a deck and a patio, but it seems like now people are willing to invest in something that's a little bit nicer, that outdoor living room.
Oh.
And the hardscape construction industry has created some new products that us designers can use to really create unique jobs. I mean, we've put in probably 7 backyard patios that are just unbelievable, and they're really beautiful. They involve the lighting, as you talked about earlier. They involve water features. They involve outdoor kitchens.
I love it.
With these custom grills, and it seems like people might not be traveling as much, so they want to make their backyard patio something really special and unique. So that's one trend. In the garden center industry, the trend that we're seeing, that we've seen the last couple of years, is people are buying less and less of the smaller annuals.
Oh.
We're noticing people buying more of 4-inch pots, sometimes 10-inch pots, and planting larger plant material as they're doing their gardens. So that's a trend we're seeing. So we're shifting a lot of our production from the traditional 12-pack to more of a 4-inch size, and so that's the other trend that we're seeing, and a lot of new colors. The breeders out there are creating all these new colors, all these new annuals, and so there's a lot to choose from people when they're walking through the garden center.
Sounds that way.
Cool.
I want to get back to the outdoor kitchen thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's my dream.
We'll get back to the plants in a second.
Yeah. They come back every year.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Not the annuals.
No,
Not the annuals.
perennials.
Perennials. do,
Perennials.
yeah.
Welcome
Marigolds
back.
if you're lucky.
See, is an outdoor kitchen, is that, and Pat, you might be able to help me on this, is that a good, does that enhance the value of the house, or is it because it's seasonal, it's just another bonus?
No, it does enhance the value of the property, but it's all depending on how much you put in. I mean, if you spend $30,000 on a big fancy job, I don't think it's going to get $30,000 added to the price of the house. In most cases, no.
And you agree there?
I agree to a certain extent, but I will say, if you are thinking about selling your house in the next 5 or 6 years, what we tell people and what we've seen is that it may not raise the property value of your home as much, but the chances of you selling the home, because there's a lot of competition to selling homes right now. There's a lot of houses on the market. So sometimes that nice patio in the backyard might be that added value enough to actually sell your home.
The wow factor.
The wow
Yes.
factor.
So we can push someone over the top.
Curb
and-
appeal.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yep, because it's going to say, wow, if some of the stuff, you've seen it before in the gardens, you know, it's just beautiful. Now, let me ask you this. Have the prices come down on those hardscapes over the years? Because I know there's new material where you just squirt glue in instead of mortar it with concrete. You know what I mean? Or no? Is that not necessarily true? I haven't priced anything in years.
Not really. The prices have not come down.
Okay.
No.
All right. I just was
honestly, the
curious.
materials themselves has really gone up surprisingly, even though there's more manufacturers. But I will say that it has not gone up a lot.
Okay.
For example, we tell people when they call us for pricing, how much is like a patio per square foot? And we tell them anywhere from $15 to $18 a square foot. Now, 10 years ago, we were telling people, and this is 10 years ago, 13 to 15. So really, it has not gone up that much.
Okay.
But because these outdoor rooms are so, they're nice, they're unique, it takes extra manpower.
Yeah.
This is not, we're not just putting in a 200 square foot rectangular patio anymore.
Yeah, you're putting
we're
in
talking
walls.
multi-layer. People don't want wood steps. They want the brick steps.
Yep.
And that's...
And you're putting in walls and
sitting walls.
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean, 3 or 4 years, we didn't do sitting walls 5 years ago. 3, 4 years ago, we started doing these sitting walls. Now everybody wants a sitting wall. So all those little things add up. So I wouldn't say the prices have come down, no.
Well, which came first, people who wanted sitting walls, or you saying, hey, how about a sitting wall?
Good question.
Yeah, it's a chicken or the egg.
I would
Did
say...
you create the demand, or did you react to it?
No, you know what the manufacturers did, because what they did is they took retaining wall stone and they made a finished side on both sides.
Yeah.
So now you can build a vertical wall that looks nice on both sides. As soon as they came out with that, all the designers said, oh, perfect, we can do a sitting wall. So I'd say the manufacturers and the designers created it.
Oh.
Cool.
Kyle Van Putty from Van Putty Gardens in Greece. The phone number is 225-7770. I should ask, first of all, you open all weekend?
Yes,
Holiday weekend?
We're open today. We're open Sunday and Monday. Limited hours. I think we're open 9 to 3. But we're open. We only close 2 days a year.
Oh, wow.
Christmas and...
Actually, 3 days a year. I take that back. 3 days a year. We close Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Day. That's it.
Wow.
Besides that, we're open year round.
not a big demand on New Year's Day.
No,
Probably.
well, that's why we're not open
Well,
on New Year's
that-
Day. but-
I'm a marketing genius.
All right, let's talk about flowers now. My favorite perennial is a hosta. Why? Because it's showy, and it's very hardy, and I can hack it up and plant it somewhere else and divide it basically,
Right.
and then I get more plants for free.
Correct.
Boy.
What's your favorite? Perennial or annual, doesn't matter. Or tree, shrub, whatever. You got a favorite in the
Well, I know I like more unique things because I work with it all the time. Like, for example, my favorite shrub is a shrub called Fothergilla.
Okay.
It's a plant that you can plant sun or shade, white flowers in May. Everybody always thinks azalea and rhododendron.
Yeah.
So I like to sometimes in my designs bring things that are unique.
And what was that? What's the one called again?
Fothergilla.
Father Gilla.
And have you ever
Fothergilla.
sued the Catholic Church?
I know. I had a few sister Gillas in high school, but Father Gilla, yeah. So regular is mundane for you. You want to spice it up.
But I
sense.
still use boxwoods and your yews and your burning bushes as the body of the landscape. But when I have to add a little pizzazz, I try to use things that are a little bit different. Like for a perennial, I like purple coneflower.
Okay.
Purple coneflower is a good example of the breeders out there developing all kinds of new colors and growth habits and plants that get bigger or plants that stay smaller. So purple coneflower is probably my favorite perennial. It's also a great perennial for someone, not only color in the yard, but if someone wants to go out and pick a vase of flowers, another great plant. It's a great cutting plant. So
Okay.
that's my favorite perennial.
And when do they bloom?
They're starting right now, actually.
Okay.
Right now. Late June, early July is when they flower, and they flower for about a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the longest flowering perennial that looks nice? I mean, my azaleas burn out after a week, and all this stuff is just the rhododendrons are so beautiful, except they're gone in 2 weeks.
Yes.
What do I get the most longevity out
The
of? in
most
summer?
longevity, coneflower is a good one.
Okay.
But the most longevity is coreopsis and daylily.
Oh, I've got daylilies. Okay.
But coreopsis, baby sun, is the variety that I use when I need a long color, flower. That's what I use.
What does it look like? Is it color?
It kind of looks like a dwarf marigold that gets a little bit taller than a marigold.
Oh.
But it's a perennial, comes back year after year.
Coreopsis.
Yeah. And then
You know, Julie checked for that, by
Yeah.
the way. She may have a little coreopsis in addition to her hives. Yeah, go ahead.
and then other, like a nice long season perennial would be like ornamental grasses, which is, that trend started 15 years ago and it has not gone away. People love them because there's really low maintenance with them.
Yep.
And you basically got to touch them in November and December, and that's it. Besides that, you leave them alone. And they add all-season color, fine texture, moves in the wind. It's got nice value.
We have to take a break, but when we come back, I have to ask you a question about the possibility of a hedgerow in my backyard.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, I got to find out what a hedgerow is, too.
Yes.
All right.
It's Property Source Radio. We're here till 10 o'clock, 4th of July weekend. We're glad you're spending a little time with us at Sports Radio 950 ESPN.